a friend of mine of long standing, whose career as an academic, an author, a social activist, and a feminist, and a staunch Zionist, I've closely followed for many years. I say a very staunch Zionist because she's also been deeply involved in combating anti-Semitism in Canada. And in fact, those of you who've read, as you should read, those of you who haven't, you should read, her last book, Fields of Exile, will, I think, very graphically find described the problems of being a Zionist Jew in Canada, which I think is a country we normally think of as not having any anti-Semitism. Well, if you think that, you're wrong. And after all, where is there no anti-Semitism, even here, right? The Dead Man is a book about, I would say, about infatuation, about obsession, about a love affair between a Canadian composer and music therapist, on the one hand, and an Israeli music critic and music historian on the other. What brings them together is music. And in fact, music is a major factor throughout the book. I want to say on a personal note that it's helpful if, unlike me, you know the theory of music, because as Nora obviously does, for a moment, well, you know what an A sharp is. I don't know what an A sharp is.
You know it's on the scale.
You're right, but I don't know what it sounds like. So when you describe the twitter of birds as hitting whatever it is, I haven't a clue. I was so happy. I thought these instruments here were recorders and that she was going to play and demonstrate some of them. But no luck. More utilitarian for us to be heard. And she brilliantly evokes music in order to convey emotions, mood, even physical relationships. And I found that a very fascinating and novel way of description and of conveying to the reader sensations, feelings, intellectual experiences, in fact, the whole gamut of human experience. But in addition to being a music therapist, to be a composer, Eve, I'm going to use the word heroine, excuse me those of you who don't like it. I don't like using hero for a female protagonist. So she's also a music therapist, and that's very important. Being a music therapist, and not merely, of course, a composer, adds enormous depth to the characterization and, of course, helps to convey Eve's self-awareness and enables us to enter into her mind as well as into her emotions. I think I particularly like the way in which Nora portrays the gradual growth of self-awareness and eventually, with that self-awareness, the emotional independence that Eve attains. And it's a feminist self-awareness. This is a strictly and wonderfully feminist novel. The book is also about Jerusalem. Nora knows Jerusalem and she loves Jerusalem, as many of us do. The detailed description, and in this respect I found this, has resonated with me more than the descriptions of music, which I couldn't interpret, but the detailed description of Jerusalem's topography will, I think, resonate in particular with those of us who know and love the city as well. But it also enables us to share viscerally, as it were, the many walks that Eve takes around the city in the course of the book. Wonderful descriptions, a wonderful sense, for us certainly, those of us who know it, of feeling described brilliantly in words what we see around us every day, and described with intense emotion, awareness to details. But it's not only Jerusalem, which she describes so wonderfully, but also other places, the Galilee, and there's a wonderful episode that occurs in Dalit El Carmel, really, really marvelous. And you feel you're there. I mean, she's able to do that. What I particularly, as an academic, loved was the satiric tone with which she describes academic conferences. She gets that absolutely right. Nora writes brilliantly, both when she describes physical surroundings and sensual experience, and when she's detailing the workings of the heart and the mind, and the frequent conflict between the two, between rationalism and infatuation. Nora is a wonderful reader of her own works. She's an expert presenter of that work, and so without any further words, I'm going to leave her to demonstrate all her gifts.